Okay.
Good. Should we get started, Fee? I like to be on time.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so introductions first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so welcome. Some names I recognise, some names I don't. So that's great. New people coming in. For the original people, welcome back. I do believe this is session 6 of the live. And my name is Lottie. I'm a psychosexual and relationship therapist. I work predominantly with couples and some individuals, and I'm passionate about what I do, working with couples on every aspect of what's going on for them. So relationally, sexually, and giving them a script to work towards being able to become more intimate and to become more sexual. So yeah, really love what I do, and the lives are about talking about relationships. And yeah, there's so much more to me. I run a charity for young people. I'm a hypnotherapist, lots of other things, but I want to concentrate on just what we're doing here, and being able to give you the knowledge that I have in my head that's actually being able to come out now, which is fantastic. I want to introduce Fee. She's going to introduce herself, but she's been fundamental in where we are now with all the lives and me being seen more. So I'm very grateful for that. So welcome, everybody.
Yes, welcome. So we always do a little intro. And again, this is for anyone that doesn't know who we are. We have got around 200 people in the Facebook group now, and it seems to be growing on a daily basis, which is amazing. So as Lottie said, I have been working with Lottie for about 2 years now in her business, but helping her to become more visible offline and online. I am a mindfulness life coach, and I'm also training to be a therapist. I started my level 4 this September. We've been working together to just bring the amazing knowledge that Lottie has to more people, because she has an amazing way of working and she helps so many people. And I was fortunate enough to find that out when I started working with her, and I just was like, this has to be to more people. We have to get this out there more, because it's such amazing information. So that's where the lives were born, so we could give back, hold these sessions for free, and hopefully people can take away some wonderful things that can help them in their relationship. So just want to go through some housekeeping ground rules before we kick off. So this will be posted on a Facebook group that has nearly 200 people in it. So please be mindful of anything that you wish to share. I ask that you mute yourself for the entirety of this, because we are probably going to put this outside of Facebook, this particular one, and maybe put it on YouTube. But the beginning and the end will be snipped off. Okay, so any questions at the end when we have a Q&A, you're able to unmute yourself, or you can direct questions to me and they will be announced anonymously, but those sections will be taken off. The recording in the Facebook group, if we don't put it on YouTube, will be available for 2 weeks. I've said about the muting, so that's all good. Yeah, if you have questions, please feel free to unmute yourself at the end. If you have questions as we go along, put them in the chat and they may be answered as we go, or they may be left to the end. We'll see how we get on. If you try and direct anything to Lottie while she's talking, she probably won't see it. So do direct it to me. And just remember to keep yourself safe. Some of the things that we might talk about, obviously it's not a replacement for therapy, so just a little waiver there. We plan to finish around 8:30, and that's when we'll have the Q&A if there are any. And any resources that are discussed, give or take, me and Lottie have to negotiate on this sometimes. She's like, yep, Feel send it. And I'm like, oh my God, there's like a million things I have to post on the Facebook group. So within reason, there might be resources. I frown when I concentrate. So I'm not angry, I'm just concentrating, just FYI. And also lastly, there are different people here for different reasons. So any questions that may come up, they might be coming from therapists here wanting to learn more about couples work, or they might actually be from couples wanting to enhance their relationship. So bear that in mind when the questions come up. over to you, Lottie. Oh, by the way, we're also mother and daughter, but I can't call her mum when we're working. It's just unprofessional.
No, thanks, Fee, for all of that and putting it all together. Yeah, the one thing that I wanted to share with you guys is about, and it comes from a Tony Robbins process, but I remember learning this when I first started in therapy years and years ago, okay? And he calls it, we called it the relationship creed back then, okay? But he calls it the 6 human needs. And one of the things that I do with my couples, it really, really works to give them a roadmap of how they are developing their relationship and what's needed within the relationship. Okay, so we're going to go through that tonight, and I'm going to go through it in sort of some detail, because for me it's really poignant to actually have this wonderful tool when you're working with couples to be able to say to them, right, okay, let's see what your 2 primary processes are and what's missing, and how we can actually enhance what you're doing and then be able to increase what you're not doing, and maybe able to give yourselves an opportunity to see what's missing. Okay, because that's in a way what we're doing with couples. They're very clear on what they are doing and what they don't want, but they're not clear on what they need some of the time. So I'm going to read some of this stuff, and some of the words are very different. When I looked at this years ago, there's a couple of words that I change, and that because it just feels a little bit more fluid. So when you get the printout of this, when Fee sends it, it will be slightly different, but I'll let you know that as we go along. So when we talk about the 4 human needs, okay, we're talking about certainty. So I think this is on the Facebook page, actually. Okay, don't write anything down because we can send it all to you. Okay, so we were looking at certainty equals safety. So how safe do you feel in the relationship? And we'll go into more detail in a minute. Then we're looking at uncertainty, which Tony Robbins talks about variety. I talk about spontaneity. So if we don't feel safe in a relationship, very rarely will we have spontaneity within the relationship. Then we've got significance. How important am I to you, and how important am I to myself? Then we've got connection and love. How close am I willing to get? Then we've got growth, which is potential to grow as an individual emotionally attached to another person, which is what David Snartz talks about. He said, I want to be emotionally connected to you whilst being autonomous. Okay, and then we've got contribution, to give without agenda, to give. And I look at relationships as what are we taking into the relationship, not what are we going to get out of it. So our mindset as human beings is, what can I get instead of what can I give? And if we change that mindset to be able to go, what am I going to bring to the table? What am I going to bring to the picnic? So if we have that mindset, we can actually have less conflict within a relationship. So let's go through them if everybody's okay with that. The one thing I would say, though, is when we're talking about these 6 needs, okay, so we've got 4 that are what I call primal needs. So they are about survival, okay? So when we talk about safety, spontaneity, what are they? Hang on. So certainty, spontaneity, significance, and connection, love, they are the primal ones. But when we talk about, so they call it the personality, okay, that's where that comes from, the primal part of us. And then what we're talking about, the other 2, which is the growth and contribution, that is the spirit of us. So that is the part of us that we want to have romantic endeavors, we want to grow as individuals, we want the freedom to be autonomous and be ourselves and have an opinion. So those 2 are different. So we've got 4 and 2. Okay. So we're going to start from the very beginning. So one thing I will caveat this with is that actually, if you are with someone who hasn't done any work on themselves, they can only bring what they can bring. So we might say to somebody, I want to be significant to you, but they have no knowledge of actually what that's supposed to look like. So I want to sort of caveat that. So if you have somebody that's not done any work on conflict, but you're expecting them to be non-confrontational, then that's not going to work. If they haven't done some inner child work or inner self-reflective work or solid work about themselves, some of this will be quite difficult. And that's what we do in therapy. We see the couple, and sometimes I would send them off to an individual therapist to work through some of the stuff. So why am I angry all the time? Why is there an irritation within the relationship? Okay. By all means, put questions as we go along in the thing, and we will answer them later. So if I take an example, so if you had somebody in a relationship whose their first primary was safety, and then you had a partner who was all about spontaneity, so surprises and getaways and pack your bag and loads of people are coming round, and but you've got somebody who's really, you would have a real sort of power struggle there. Okay, when we talk about Harville Hendricks' work, Harville Hendricks' work, he talks about the power struggle, and we will keep going back to the power struggle because you're asking the other person to keep you safe, and they are bouncing all over the place. The same as if I want to be significant for somebody and the other person is looking for that love and connection. If we're not on the same, for me, it's about alignment. It's not about compatibility. It's about, do we align with our value systems? Are we on the same path in wanting the same thing? Yeah, so if we can actually get the relationship tree to actually fold into each other, we're more likely to actually understand where each other's coming from. Going off piece just a little bit, it's really interesting when you're working with clients and you're saying to them, I want you to listen from the other person's perspective. And it's so interesting in therapy when they go, yes, but I, and I go, but you've just gone to you again. Okay, so not that it's got anything to do with this, I guess, but what I'm saying to you is we've got to get them to be thinking about the other person first and then aligning themselves with it. So certainty equals, so the number one thing that everybody is looking for within a relationship is certainty. And one of the things that we get from a relationship when they come to therapy is hope. Okay, I hope this will work. I hope we can work this out. I hope we can get to another stage. And hope can be quite defeatist and disappointing. What relationships are looking for is how certain can I be where we are at the moment? So in the here and now. Okay, I can't say what's going to happen in 6 months' time, where there be, but in the here and now, how safe do they feel? Okay, so if we have a safety aspect to the relationship, we're more likely to be vulnerable. We'll allow ourselves to share. And the one primary thing that we want to do with our partner is share with them. Okay, so we have lots of friends. We share a lot with girlfriends and guy friends, and we have that outside. But really, our primary partner is the one that we want to come and share that vulnerability with. So we develop a stronger bond with that person if there's a safety aspect to it, and that runs through. So a lot of people know that I work from a place of friendship, intimacy and sex. That's how I see a relationship, rightly or wrongly, and I know some people don't agree with me, but I think that's where it comes from. So if you've got that friendship, and if you think about the friendships you've got and how important they are to you, and you wouldn't want to let them down if they invite you out, we need to bring that into the relationship. So we're not having that process happen again and again. So the bond becomes much more solid within the relationship, and we're bringing that intentionality to it. So what is it that you're asking? So it's not going, I don't feel safe. It's about what aspect of the relationship is making you feel vulnerable. Now, don't forget, we're an I first, choosing to be a we. So some of this work is about an individual going off and going, I'm not safe because. It's not because this partner here is making them feel unsafe. So not all the work that's happening here within the relationship is about the relationship. They can go off and have therapy somewhere else and go, I've always been anxious. I've, my template, my mum, my whatever it might be. Okay. So we're not blaming the other partner for being spontaneous, but you might find because of the angst in the person who's wanting safety, the spontaneity will die. It will go, well, I can't be me, and I give myself over so that you can feel safe. And that's what we don't want to do in relationships. The other one is uncertainty equals spontaneity. So it will make some relationships feel like actually it's a bit risky, a bit fragile, because there's a person who's funny and jovial and humorous and spontaneous and get in the car and we're going off and lots of things that they're doing, and that's their personality. That's their process of being who they really want to be, and having that opportunity to be themselves. So the variety, which is what Tony Robbins got, the variety is about learning new skills and leveling up your communication process. So if you have somebody that's really risk averse, let's say for a minute, we've got to actually level up that communication with them, because they're not actually doing anything wrong. They're just saying, I want to live life. I want us to experience new things. I want us to go and explore all the things that are available to us as a couple. And that can scare somebody if they're in that safety aspect all of the time. And we need to feel a certain sense of safety, but also we need that unpredictability for us to capture that erotic part of us as a relationship. So the excitement is meant to be unknown, so that our arousal circuits come back online again and again. If it's just safety and sameness, so if we're talking about meta programs, sameness and difference, somebody whose sameness will want to stay the same and don't rock my boat, and different person will be going, let's go on holiday, let's paint the house, let's find new friends. So I know meta programs are not what we're talking about, but with that part of it, we need to make sure that actually there is an element of variety, spontaneity, excitement, all of that actually drives that relationship to be a little bit, oh, this is exciting. Oh, what are we doing next? Hope everybody's okay where I'm going with this. Significantly significant, I've put here, which I love. Okay, for me, and I see so many couples, they're sitting there and they don't feel significant to the other person. And that can be a dog sitting on their lap. So the partner will say, I'd like to have a cuddle. And they go, not now. And then the next minute, the dog's on the lap and being stroked and everything. People can be jealous of pets. Okay. Then there's the children going up that way. There's more love for the children than there is, or significance for the children there is for the partner. Or there might be golf or football or work. If we have that real sort of anguish within the relationship that I don't feel significant, that can be coming from child. Okay, I've never felt significant. I've always been second. That would be some inner child work needs to go on. But actually in a relationship, where are you sitting? Are you actually ring fencing your relationship above all others so that you can actually really have a strong foundation for each other? And then nothing can infiltrate that, not even children, as much as I love them. They can't actually, they don't stop you having time together, or mummy and daddy are talking. Can you actually go and sit back in your bedroom? We need more discipline in the fact that actually as a couple, we need to make sure that we have that time together. So talking about date night, people are bored with date night. I do alphabet dating, which is really simple. It's 1 hour, choose a letter or take it in turns and make it really, really simple. Okay. So when we talk about sharing your innermost vulnerability with this person, with the significant part of it, we end up sharing some of our stuff with other people. So we're going outside, out what we call outside the arena. So because we're not feeling significant, we need someone to talk to, and we start sharing information with other people. So best friends, colleague at work, okay? And this can be what we call the cup of tea syndrome. Not necessarily. You're just looking for an outlet to say, I'm not feeling safe or important or acknowledged, or I'm not seen within this relationship. So that's why it's so important for me. I think the significant one, I'm sure safety should be number one, really. But for me, if you're not feeling significant in the relationship, other things take precedent above you, it will really damage the relationship. So one of the most crucial relationship needs is feeling significant. You want someone who makes you feel special and important. You can fulfill this for yourself in many ways, but you also need to feel significant in the eyes of your partner. So I'm not always saying it's your partner's job. I don't believe it's their job to make you happy. We have happiness either side and we enhance it with each other. But that significant thing can really tap into some triggers that we've had before. It might feel very familiar. So a sibling thing, maybe somebody was more important than you, or academically, there might be something going on there that's making you feel really lonely. And the only way to sort this stuff out, apart from talk to your own space in your head, is say to yourself, I'm going to rock the boat and say, I'm not okay. That's what I'm getting couples to do. You need to actually come forward and go, I'm not okay in this relationship. I'm feeling like I'm not actually part of it. It's like I'm invisible. And unless we have that conversation, all of it actually just is in here. And there's nobody answering in here. It's just repetitive and rumination. And what we're trying to do is give the opportunity to actually, conflict is growth trying to happen. That's David Schnarz's words. Let it happen. Rock that boat for a minute, because there's growth going to happen from it. Because the other person might not, you like me riding my bike for 4 hours. You like me going to rugby, blah, blah, blah. You like me going out with my girlfriends on every Friday night. They might not say anything. Because what we're doing is we're giving ourselves over to the other person so that they stay. Belonging and not being abandoned is huge. So we just give ourselves over. But there will be some resentment forming within the relationship. And it's really important that the only way we can tackle this and be brave, as I call it, is actually talk to each other about it. So when you give your clients, or clients are on here now, think about the ones that you really feel. So I feel safe in this relationship, from emotional to financial and all the things in between. But actually, sometimes I don't feel important. So actually really think about, when you're either working with clients or you are a couple, then think about the things that might be missing. Really look at the things that are already there, that you're really working out, but think of the things that may be a loss that you're not recognizing. Then we've got connection and love. Okay, so you've already established that actually being significant in the eyes of your partner is really, really important, but it's also a need to form a deep connection and develop an intense love. Okay, so when we talk about the relationship stages of being able to have the limerence, and then the love, and then the struggle, the power struggle stage, then the recommitment, the reawakening, and then the real deal, the love. Okay, we're looking for, and I do believe a lot of clients come to me and say this, we've done all the perfunctory things, we've got the house, and the kids are starting to grow up and be a bit more independent. We haven't got that emotional connection. And that's what most people are looking for, that emotional connection, to be able to talk. This is the person you want to be able to say to them, today's not been a great day, or actually something's happened in the family. This is your go-to person to be able to say it to. Okay, and this is the person you want to actually be able to have your back, be a team, be a friend when you need them. When I talk about limerence, and I'm really fascinated with limerence, I go on about it a lot. When we first meet somebody, it's not love, it's limerence. And it's where we find ourselves really connected to this other person in a conversation, the things that we like about each other, and we have that moment of madness. A lot of people call it the bubble, okay? And being in that place is not love, it's actually working out at a time when the limerence starts to fade. Are you the person I want to spend more time with, even more time with warts and all, and the things I've seen you do that I don't like very much? You are the person that I'm going to choose. Okay, so the love and connection part of it is you've moved well away from the limerence stage. You've chosen this person, and you've gone through lots of different traumas, and traumas can be lots of things. Okay, moving house, buying a car, having children, mortgages. There's lots of power struggle stages, but you always come back to that connection because it's a solid connection. And I do believe that actually the friendship thing is the thing that brings you back to it. Then we've got growth. Okay, so when we talk about growth and contribution, we're coming away from the primal needs, and we're looking at the spirit of people, what we need for ourselves, okay, and the contribution we can make to others if we choose to. So what I love about Tony Robbins, I've got it here, he says that actually the whole point of being here is to make a contribution to others. And I there's something about that for me, being able to give and get nothing back. You know, there's nothing that you're going to get back from it. And I love that thought that actually there's a possibility. I think he feeds lots of people with the money he's got, which I love that idea. So when we're talking about growth, I'm very much about, we are all evolving, we're all growing anyway. If you stop growing, he talks about that you're just dying, you're just existing and you're not being here. Okay, so the survival part of us is the spirit, the romantic us, the wanting to be in love us, the opportunity for us to interact with new people, team up with other people. There's such a growth within us as an I. So when you talk about all of these together, I want you to really think about them as an I first, and then as choosing to be a we if you're in a relationship. So because it can be really fundamental to go, am I actually feeling safe myself? Am I actually having enough fun within my life? So all of them can actually represent the I as well as the we. But the growth part of it is really important. That self-awareness and authenticity is the key to the growth of where you can become. Okay, you know, it always reminds me a little bit of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that self-actualization, and that actualization for somebody might be a monk with robes on and praying every day. They might have got there. Okay, so we're all sort of destined to go, some are destined to go to wherever that might be, but the point of growth is to actually keep learning, interacting, breathing, all the things I think that make us, even the counseling courses and working with couples or interacting with a partner. The growth part of it is so important, and that's the spirit part of it, being able to go, there's more out there, there's more for me to soak up. When I think of sort of between usually 1 and 5 or 1 and 7, children are like sponges, and I want us to continue to sponge all this information up, wherever it comes from, whether it's a podcast, this, books and everything, to keep growing. Yeah. Also for that, I always put in that actually before you met someone, you had hopes, dreams and aspirations. And I get my couples to really think about what they were before you met this person. Okay, have you given anything up? And that you've compromised. Okay, a lot of women, predominantly women, will say sacrificed. Okay, there must have been a discussion at some point. Okay, but what we're looking for is actually, what are my dreams and aspirations? Because you're two separate people on a journey doing this. Okay, and what we want to do is actually, how can I fulfill your journey? What do you want to do, and how can I fulfill yours? So you're looking from the perspective as the other person, and if you can do that, you'll find sometimes the person goes, well, actually, I'm not going to do that now, but I'm going to do something else. When there's that growth able to just be given, I'll finance it, I'll be there with you, I'll drop you off, whatever it might be. There's an opportunity for people to go, it's not what I want to do. I just wanted to see whether there was a possibility, and they end up doing something else. But the point is, they're growing. I feel like I could say so much more about growing, that personal goal, that personal dream, as an I, and being then with somebody else and being able to fulfill all of that. And the other person sitting in a real good place of going, go and do it. Sabbaticals for 3 months, football for however long. Always sending your partner off with, go and have a wonderful time. Because if you are in the relationship and there is really solid significance, there won't be a problem with you either going off doing different things. Okay, and the different things are activities, they're not exits. Okay, there's a difference. If we're exiting a lot, it means there's something going on the relationship. If we're actually we've always played rugby before I met you, I've always done this before I've met you, whatever it might be, I want to continue doing it. We give ourselves over and we let go of it all. And usually when couples come to see me, they start implementing some of this together. And the wonderful thing that I get my couples to do is I actually get them to go into something that neither of them know what to do. Now, that can be rock climbing at Calshot, that can be taekwondo, it can be pottery. I get them to do something that nobody's the expert and nobody's a student. They actually do something that actually is new to both of them. So they're looking at each other. It's so funny. They're going, what do we do next? And it's so lovely for them to be able to learn together and grow together. So that's a really good thing to get couples to do. So Tony Robbins, he talks about contribution, okay? And his actual saying is, living is giving. That's the thing I was trying to find. Living is giving. And I just love, so when something good happens, the first thing that you want to do is share it with your partner. And you want a receptive partner, somebody that actually is saying, we are the unit, come back. I always think of the Homer Simpsons, they rush to the settee to have their little discussions and put the telly on and everything. Have time, make time. You'd come to therapy maybe, and there is sort of 50 minutes or an hour there. Actually do that in your personal life as well. Say, right, okay, 15 minutes each. Let's explain to each other what happened today. Time it, boundary it, so that you're not going on about your boss this or this happened. You're actually bound, and then you can get on with your evening, whatever that might be. So he talks about being able to create a life with meaning and have a huge part in contributing. And he talks about the world. So I always have these little, so there's me, others and the world. Okay, so it depends on where you are in your life, how much you can give, but it's really important to actually think of others. So the contribution side of us is being able to actually think of your partner. Okay, think of your others, so that might be family or friendships, and then think about the bigger picture. What could you do other than your closest people? Think of it bigger. So the one thing I did a little while ago is I collected 90 boxes for Ukraine and Syria, and never done anything like that before. No offense, but I probably won't do it again. It was really, really hard work, and I had tons of stuff being left on my doorstep every day because I'd already finished it, and people kept bringing me stuff, and I didn't know where to take it then because the people had gone. But that was a contribution above myself, because I wanted to actually do, being so far away from them having nothing. It was just living is giving. I just wanted to do something. So the contribution actually contributes to your well-being and your happiness. Okay, so even though I'm saying above yourself, there is something that actually, there's a warmth when you're doing something like that. So you don't get anything from it, you don't get any money from it or anything, you're giving your time for nothing. But there is something about being able to give something that actually mentally and physically can have a well-being effect on yourself. So when we talk about that as well, the accountability of I, so being emotionally attached while staying autonomous. So the contribution side of it, and all of this is about being able to sit in a place of, I'm with this person, I'm emotionally attached while being myself. So completely autonomous. So I'm going to go off tack a little bit, because then we're talking about differentiation. Okay. Differentiation is being with somebody, okay, that you're going, I'm with you, but I'm still going to be me. So that would be intact with your self-esteem, your value system, your being able to SVI, so self-validating intimacy instead of other validated intimacy. You're not needing something from somebody else, if that makes sense. So high differentiated people are able to sit in this autonomous place. Low differentiated people are people who find it really difficult to do that. You will find that people will act out or be able to not be calm. So when we talk about the creed, if you're saying that somebody is low differentiated, then if they're not significant or they're not feeling safe, they will actually escalate or maximize the threat for them. Yeah. So the whole point of working with the creed is being able to stabilize your clients to see what's there, but also look at the differentiation is a whole package on its own, guys. So I'm not going to go into it massively, but if you are able to hold yourself accountable to who you truly are, and that's what we're all working towards. All of us are working towards, actually, how can I be accountable? How can I actually hold myself within a relationship or out of a relationship and become more knowing? So that's where we talk about the growth, knowing myself more, being able to, instead of react to something, being able to sit in it and be able to talk about it, communicate about it, and not be low differentiated so that you're actually panicking about all this stuff. So a lot of the clients I see will come in and there's a fear. There's a fear of being left, or a fear of abandonment or rejection or loneliness. Okay, and what we're trying to do is actually, this really sets out how we can work with clients and say, what's missing? What is it that you need for yourself, first of all? And what do you think your partner can contribute to that? And that would give you a really good guide to helping them feel that actually there's these human needs are what we need for a relationship to flourish. And that's what we're looking for. How can we get this relationship to flourish, to be more in tune? People stay in the power struggle. This is the problem. They stay in it for months and years, and the resentment keeps taking them back to the beginning. It's a different story. It sounds, but it's not. It's the same resentment. It's just fluffed up with other stuff, but it's just the same thing again and again and again. Okay, let me take a breather. Just let you know it's a posh glass, but it is water. So, how is everybody doing? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Don't think you can do a thumbs down. Good. Okay, just do thumbs up even if I can't see you. That's absolutely fine. Okay, what is the time, Fee? How are we doing? Okay, so what I want to talk to you about now is I've sort of gone over what I've wanted to go over. Okay. And because this isn't interactive, I'm not going to be able to get any feedback. But I wonder whether we could do an exercise so that we could bring all this together, because having all this information thrown at you, and we will be sending some information to you so that you've got all of it set out so that you can either look at it as a couple and work at it as a therapist, whether Fee likes it or not. That's what we're going to do. And I think we need an exercise to sort of bring it all together. So Fee, you found something, didn't you, that we talked about?
Yes.
So let's have a look at that, I think, for now.
Yes. So it would be good if everybody had a pen and bit of paper, and I will just pop the 6 core needs, or the relationship creed, into the chat again, just to make sure everybody has it so you can look at this. So the first thing I'd like you to do is write down each of those core needs. So significance, connection, certainty, uncertainty, growth, and contribution. And I want you to order them from 1 to 6 in terms of the importance for yourself. So 1 being the most important to you, and 6 being the least for now. So significance, feeling loved, connection or love. Sorry, feeling valued is significance, sorry. Connection is the love. Certainty is safety. Uncertainty, which is variety or spontaneity. Growth, which is the learning. And contribution, which is making a difference outside of yourself. So out of those, 1 to 6, 1 being the most important to you and 6 being the least. And if you have a partner, then it might be interesting to kind of compare where their list sits. Because as Lottie was saying, this is where some of the discrepancies come in. And it doesn't mean that you have to be on the same page and you have to feel and have the same thing, but it just might mean that a conversation needs to be had about how the other person might be feeling and what that might look like. If I'm going too fast, let me know, because I'm going to move on to the second part of this. So if you need more time, just pop it in the chat and I'll slow down. And again, I can send this out as well. So now I want you to take the same 6 needs and I want you to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is, I get this need met all the time. Now, if you're in a relationship, this will be fairly straightforward because you'll know, or you should be more likely to know if you are getting this need met or not. If you're not in a relationship at the moment, then it might be worth reflecting on a past relationship. So 10 is, I get this need met all the time, or I did get this need met all the time in all areas of my life. And 1 is, I really don't get this need met anywhere. So rate each of those on 1 to 10. I'll paste that in the chat as well. Okay. And then out of those 6, choose which area it is that you would like to focus on. The area where making a change would bring real fulfillment into your life. And then we're just going to dig a little bit deeper on that 1. So make a note of the rating of that particular one you've chosen as your focus point. And I want you to think about, what would a 9 or 10 be like for you in this area? What would that look like? What would that sound like? What would that feel like?
I guess think about how you rated it in the beginning and think how it would be if it was higher.
the next part of this is, what is it that is missing or was missing, is happening or was happening or not happening in this area of your life right now that causes it to be lower at the moment?
Can you say that again, Fee?
What's missing, what's happening or not happening in this area of your life right now that causes it to be lower? So that particular need, what's missing from it? What's not happening, or what is happening to cause it to have that low score? And then what are all the impacts that this is having on you right now? And what would need to be happening in your life for it to become a 9 or a 10? So what would need to be happening in your life for it to become a 9 or 10? How would you feel if this was happening? How would you know? What would you be seeing? What would you be hearing or feeling? And lastly, what is the one small step you could take this week to bring you closer to making it a 9 or 10? Now, Lottie pointed out earlier, a 9 or 10 for some people might seem like quite a stretch. So if you've given it a low score, perhaps rather than seeing it as what would a 9 or 10 look or feel like, or what could bring you closer to it, what would the next level up? So if you've marked it a 4, what would a 5 feel like? Or what one small step could you take this week to bring you one step up, as opposed to maybe quite a few? I think sometimes when we become clearer ourselves on where we stand with things, it becomes easier to communicate that with your partner. And I think, Lottie, what you said earlier about we always go into a relationship, or we can sometimes be in a relationship thinking, what can I get? Rather than what can I give? And that really flips it on its head.
Yeah, it's quite a profound thought, isn't it? When you say it out loud, it actually makes you really think about what are my processes, what are my past experiences, trying to take from this relationship instead of give. So what's on the table? What's on the table my side? What's on the table their side? And actually, is it balanced? Because that's what we're looking for in a relationship. We're going to have a misalignment every now and then. We're looking for balance in everything we do, whether we do what we've just done tonight, whether we do meta programs, whether we do love language. We're looking for a balance with all of it, to be able to come in the middle and go, right, okay, this is what's on offer, this is what I can offer you, or this is my understanding of where we are or where I am, and I don't know how to be emotionally connected, for instance. And therapy can really help people tap into that part of them that may not have had. And it gives them the opportunity. And I like questions as well. If you've got two really primary, which we normally have with the relationship creed, why are those two important to you? Why have you chosen those two? Because you might be the unawareness of it, knowing that actually being significant significance important to me, and being safe. But actually, why? Where has that come from, that those two are the primary ones and the other ones have not really been established for yourself? So obviously, saying this to some people, they've only heard it from the first time maybe, but actually underneath every single one of us, there's human needs waiting to be met, asking to be met. And this just gives you a roadmap of actually what the needs are, and giving all of us an opportunity to go, what's missing and what do I need to implement to make it better? So the exercise that you've just done really makes us think about the I first of all as well. You know, what am I trying to establish for myself? And then being able to go, if you are in a partnership or you know, thinking about ex-partners, how did that play out then? Because what we don't want to do is actually get then another partner and play the same role again. We want to make it different each time.